Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is K. Jamal Jones. This is TRS, TRS, and today's topic is Tales from the Dark Side. You know, I grew up in a very, very tough neighborhood, to say the least. And for me personally, as a young man, you know, I would always put myself in a position mentally to dream myself away from the physical environment that I was in, because I understood from a very young age how detrimental that environment was to me. And I figured out very young, if I could dream myself away from here, then that's going to be the way that I function. Because I grew up in a situation where, you know, I didn't come from a family of gangsters. I didn't come from a family of, drug dealers or people who were known in the street. You know, we had a very decent, good family, you know, and it was a situation where, you know, we lived there because that was the place where we had to live. You know, it wasn't because we wanted to live there, but that was what my grandmother could afford. And it just so happened to be, you know, one of the worst neighborhoods, you know, probably in America. You know, definitely in New York City, definitely in Brooklyn, you know, being in East New York. And for me, personally, it was a very, very difficult time because, you know, you're talking about growing up around violence. You're talking about growing up around drugs, growing up around suicides, homicides, you know, having classmates being murdered, you know, having classmates being locked up, sent to jail, you know, being harassed by the police. Yes, even myself, who doesn't have a record whatsoever, never been to jail, never been to a precinct at all, being harassed by police officers because of the neighborhood that I lived in. You know, it's like I felt like everything was dodging landmines, right, in this community. And it was just rough. So for me, I said, let me dream my way away from this place about where I want to be. So at that time, I figured it would be basketball. That would be my safe haven. And guess what? Me and every other, you know, young African-American male in urban America all around the country is thinking that this ball is going to be the way to get out of the hood and provide and do all the things that we dream of. So you stay focused on playing sports, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, whatever it is. In your mind, you're thinking this is going to be the only way to get out of this environment, to get out of this hood, by playing a sport, you know. So for me, it was one of those things where, you know, we definitely stayed focused on it. And it was really the only thing that kept me sane and kept me from getting caught up, kept me from getting in trouble, you know. But the one thing I will never forget is the feeling of, you know, not knowing what was going to happen from one day to the next. It was so unnerving that it just, on a positive side, it drove me to be the man that I am today because of how negative, because of how detrimental that environment is. And if I had to go back, you know, I hear some people say, man, if I had to go back, I wouldn't change a thing. No, if I had to go back, I would change a thing. And I would change the environment that I grew up in, because on one hand, you know, it was great because it made me who I am today. But on the other hand, it hardened me as well because, you know, just seeing all the things that I saw, you know, naturally it gave me a disposition where, as positive as I want to be, there's still always in the back of your mind what could happen, you know. So that's something that I deal with on a day-to-day basis, and I fight that by, you know, doing what I'm doing now, being involved in the work that I'm involved in now, and then being able to speak to kids and parents who are in that situation from personal experience, being able to tap into that. So the title of the video is Tales from the Dark Side. And, you know, it's basically just saying that you can be successful coming from a background like that, or any other type of background. You know, most people who are successful have dealt with some level of trauma in their lives that have, you know, yes, it was a negative experience that nobody wants to endure, but at the same time, you are able to draw from that experience in such a way that now you become more than a conqueror, right? And you become so successful because you were able to draw from a place where it was either draw from that place to be successful, or you sit there and you allow it to kill you. And I refused to allow it to kill me, and I continue to press forward, and I learn from those lessons, from those experiences, from being in that environment, and it helps me even to this day. So with that, I want to say thank you to everyone who subscribes to Kenyon Jones on YouTube. We're grateful for the support from Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I want to remind you to always, always, always rock out with the rock stars. Thank you for watching, and God bless.